Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Prof Otaku and welcome back to my channel. For this Should You Read Sunday, I have an absolute banger for you. This is Frieren Beyond Journey's End, and I just can't wait to tell you guys what makes this series a fantastic series. So this series is published under Viz Media under the Shonen Sunday label. This is the first volume that just got released literally less than a week ago, and volumes 2 and 3 are already up for pre-order. So this manga is a slice of life fantasy story. So this story starts by following our cast of 4 characters. We have Heimel the hero, we have Hyder the priest, we have Hyson the warrior, and we have Frieren the mage. So these 4 cast of characters have just finished a 10-year journey to defeat the Demon King, and we see them come back into town for a huge festival and celebration. One of the last things that the party does together before they depart is they watch the meteor shower together. That's a special part of this festival. Frieren, our mage, decides to leave town to continue to gather magic spells, and she tells the party that, hey, I'll be back in 50 years to watch the meteor shower again, and this time I will show you a really special spot to see it. Now, the other 3 characters of the party are all normal people. They all age normally. The thing about Frieren is that she doesn't age normally. She is an elf, so she just lives a very long time, and so for her 50 years is not that big of a deal. But for the party, the other 3, they understand that, hey, we're almost going to be dead by the time you come back. So as Frieren promises, she comes back after 50 years to find our cast of characters in an old and frail state, especially Heimel the hero. And they journey together to watch the meteor shower one last time, as promised. Now, Heimel the hero dies. And during the funeral, when the town is there and they're all observing what's kind of going on, and you've got Hyder and Hyson there as well, Frieren realizes, I don't know anything about this guy. Heimel, who he is, our journey, we did this journey together, which for her was a very small part of her life. 10 years to her means nothing because she's an elf. She lives a very long time. But for them, their connection, these other 3 characters, this is a huge part of their life and the friendship that they built. He died and she realized, oh my gosh, I miss my friend. I don't know anything about this guy. And so with the help of Hyder and Hyson, she begins this quest to develop this sense of connection with the people that she comes across in her journey. Though it may be small for her, it's very impactful for those people that she meets. Now, with this synopsis that I just gave you, this is just in the first chapter, mind you. Now, honestly, out of all the series that I've read, this is one of the most intense, well-written chapters in manga that I've ever read. In one chapter, we see our main character, Frieren. We understand why she's the way that she is. They're very clear about, hey, she's like this because of this. And the character development that we get in one chapter is absolutely legendary. And the way that they create this environment where you care about all 4 of these characters within a chapter, and their influence on the main character is really, really well done, and you're totally absorbed into the world. This is such a different fantasy story than what we're used to. Because with fantasy stories, you just jump into the main story, and then it kind of builds up till after you defeat the main villain, and that's it. Woohoo! Yay! Black Clover, I'm talking to you. But this story's different. This story starts after the big event. And you're kind of reading like the first few pages, and you're like, and they're talking about their journey and what they did, and you're like, this is weird. What happened? What was the journey? But that's not the point of this story. The point of the story is the emotional effects and ramifications of their journey together. And that's what makes this so different and so unique. And it's just such a cool perspective that I haven't seen in manga before. Now, in the remaining chapters of this first volume, you see Frieren go on this journey to continue. Basically, she's retracing her steps of this journey she took 10 years ago and trying to understand the connections she made with her party, and also trying to realize herself as an elf and trying to make connections with humans. And so they get into the slice of life aspect about it. This first volume is very episodic, and so I say that this is a slice of life slow burner. If you're not down for slice of life and you're looking for kind of a manga that's a turn your brain off type of manga, this one's not really going to be for you, because you really have to focus on the story at that current moment and the implications and the things that Frieren is learning through each chapter. And so if you just read it as like a slice of life fantasy, honestly, it's kind of like meh, like nothing's happening, because it's very like basic like things that are going on, but there are such deeper meanings to what is happening and relating to Frieren's past. So you just have to pay attention, because the things that you pick up are just like, wow, like this is so deep. So let's talk about the art, because I think that the art in this story really needs to be commended. It is so detailed. It is absolutely impeccable, and it really helps immerse you into this fantasy world. You know, with fantasy worlds, it's really tricky because you've got all these different components, and you've got to just grip your reader and like put them into a different society. It's not real life. But this manga does a great job with all the detail and the backgrounds and the different environments that they create. It's really, really well done. I love the character design. Everybody looks really different, and it's really easy to distinguish all of the characters. Now, the one thing that I will say is that the actual drawing itself and the way that it's drawn, it takes more thicker lines, like they used a really thick pen. And so the backgrounds, though very detailed, sometimes when you've got like the characters in these backgrounds, it's really kind of hard to tell what is what. And so that's kind of the only pet peeve that I have about this. Maybe if they use some thinner lines to kind of clear up the backgrounds a bit with the same detail, I think it would make things a little bit easier. The last thing that I will say about this manga, and I already touched a little bit about it, is that the life lessons in this manga are just beautifully done. This story is like vanilla ice cream. You're like, oh, this is cute. This is like a fantasy story with some elves and some dwarves and some magic and the Demon King. And it's like, oh, they go town to town. They do things. They help people. And you're like, okay, this is kind of boring, but it's not boring, because underneath that vanilla ice cream, it's like encapsulated with like a cherry syrup, caramel, Rocky Road-esque marshmallow fluff. What other condiments can I think of? You know, inside of this plain vanilla ice cream is this conglomerate of different flavors and different textures and serenity that really just makes this manga like a total like next step over anything else that you have in your collection. So with that being said, this manga touches on friendship. It touches on the loss of life. It talks about cherishing people in your lives and continuing connections over a long span of time. And this is all done in a slice of life, you know, go to a town and do some things. And you're like, how can it possibly do that? That's why you have to read it. You have to find out. So overall, my concluding thoughts on this series, or the start of this series, is volume 1. Pick it up. Pick it up and try it. Even if you're not a slice of life fan or a fantasy fan. Because I think this is so different than what we are used to that this is going to provide a breath of fresh air. I think that this is going to be something down the road that could be a masterpiece. We'll just have to see what volumes 2 and 3 do. But I'm definitely hooked after volume 1. So I'm super excited to see where the series goes. 9 out of 10 for me. Great first volume. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, tap that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out. I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.